Hey,
Where are you at your home?
yeah, this is like some of the only time in the Lower Mainland where it snows, and we got absolutely hammered this morning.
I was gonna say, like, I wasn't sure if you're gonna make it because, yeah, you guys are not used to this. How many centimeters have you gotten?
Like a foot.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from Montreal. I live in Toronto, so like, I guess I'm used to that. But regardless, it still sucks. So, are you buried where you are, or are you like digging yourself out?
I tried taking the car out, but that was not going to happen. Directly back into the driveway, so pretty shut down here. I'm out in Langley, in North Langley,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You say hi?
yeah, and I decided to just go for a walk. We had to get one of the kids out of the house, and so we're trekking up to the grocery store to get a hot chocolate. And
Oh my god.
yeah.
Are you okay to like talk right now, or
Oh yeah,
like?
I'm good, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Noel. First of all, thank you again because I know with the weather and everything and your schedule, I appreciate you making some time for me. Basically, my channel is all about promoting, Canadian artists and just reminding people like there's so much talent in this country, and of course, you're one of them. Also, I have to give a shout out to Dave, your former bandmate, Dave Benedict.
Yeah, he says hi. I talked to him this
Dave
morning.
is amazing. So
Good dude.
yeah, we could talk about it. But anyways, yeah, basically, we'll kind of start from the beginning and just very informal. For people who know or should know at least, you were in Default, first Canadian rock band, and then of course you've been doing the country thing under your own name for the last 12 years or so.
Yeah,
We'll say maybe a bit more.
Like that, yeah.
But what kind of made me something I was curious about and caught me off guard was the fact that you said that as a child you were pretty anxious and shy and maybe you never sang in front of anyone, which seems like kind of counter to like what a lot of artists were like when they were kids. So can you talk about your childhood, because again, you said that you've dealt with anxiety and being shy and you never really sang in front of anyone.
Yeah, well, I'm in my 40s now, so back when I was a kid, it was that age where I didn't really know what anxiety was. I had no idea what that was, right? It was just, it was an uncomfortable feeling. And, yeah, doing anything like public or, yeah, like you said, in front of anybody, especially something creative. Yeah, I was definitely in a shell. Like I was that kid in school or in high school as well. Like if I had to do a project in front of people, like a essay or some sort of presentation, I'd fail the class because I just wouldn't go. Just a nightmare for me. But yeah, and I slowly pushed back on that as I was going through high school and out of high school and kind of hitting my late teens into my early 20s, and that's when I started hanging around a lot of the musicians that I'm really good friends with now. Just getting over that fear of doing something creative in front of people.
Was it I don't know if this was your first time singing in public or first time singing on stage. You sang the song Plush by Stone Temple Pilots. When was that exactly?
That was that was in late '99, and I was 20, I think, something like that, and I just wanted to get out of it. I enjoyed singing. It was kind of my outlet as a kid. I'd come home from school and I'd have like an hour and a half, couple hours, so I could just sing along to my favorite records and just have that out. And yeah, I hit about 20, and I had the opportunity to get up and just have some fun with some fellow musician friends and that were in a different band. And yeah, I just got drunk, to be honest.
Well, I bring that up because for me, when I hear that you sang Plush and you sang Stone Temple Pilots, to me, your voice kind of sounds like Scott Weiland. Has anyone ever told you that?
Not him in particular, but I definitely pull a lot of stuff and influence from, those bands, Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, were all like my favorite bands. Silverchair was one of my big influences when I was a kid too. So yeah, if you're hearing that in there, definitely pulling some from, a lot of that, including him.
I'm curious, when you did your transition from rock to country, did you think or consider changing your sound or your tone at all?
Honestly, I'd never had any lessons. It was just kind of whatever was instinctual to me at that point, and I just kind of went with it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really it, and there was really no thought into how I was going to sound or trying to. Yeah, no strategy behind it. That was just my voice at the time, just because that's what I sang along to, and that's what pulled from it.
Yeah, again, just going back again, starting with rock, then going into country, which it seems like more and more artists are doing. I've spoken with Dan Davidson out in Edmonton. You know, he did with Tupelo Honey. Yep. Now he's doing country. Was there a point? I know I'll get into this later, but I know you talk about at the end of Default where you decide to switch over to country. But was it ever in the back of your mind, maybe at the beginning? Because I asked that because even with songs like Deny and Wasting My Time, your two biggest songs with Default, you hear country in that song, especially Deny, the beginning, the day I woke up and you were going twang. Like, was that in your mind at all with country?
No, not at all, man. That was just that would have been my mom's records that she was playing around when I was a kid. So it wasn't a conscious decision. It wasn't anything. It was just what had influenced me and it come out. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. That's the waste of my time. I've heard a bunch of that just because I perform that song now. That's what I do now. But Deny we haven't really played. So and everybody thought of Deny. Obviously not in the heavier parts. But yeah, that part I can see for sure. Being those little country influence in there.
Speaking of Wasting My Time, which was a commercially biggest success with Default, is it true that your wife offered an Edmonton radio station to stop playing that song?
Yeah. She grew up in Edmonton, and that was one of our strongest markets, and that was right along the time of Nickelback was just, every second song was played. It'd be us, and then it would be whatever band, and then it would be Nickelback, and then us, and then another band. Yeah. So she actually phoned up the radio station and said, "Look, I got my paycheck here. Would you please stop playing these songs?" And she put that out into the universe, and we ended up getting married. And there you go.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So, there's a few people in your life that I know you're very close to, both personally and professionally, and I do want to talk a bit about them. And obviously, yes, this is about you, but these people really play a huge role in your life. And one of them, who I recently learned more about and I've really grown to appreciate, is Joey Moy. Joey, so I believe the story goes, at least you had a show in Montreal when you were still in Default, and you texted him that night saying, country record, ? And I guess the rest, as they say, is history. Can you just briefly talk about that?
Yeah. I mean, we were down in Nashville for our first writing session. It was his first time down there. Yeah, like 2-3 weeks after I sent that text. It was right at the end of the 3 Days Grace tour. And we were promoting a record that we had a really hard time putting out. It was kind of caught in the middle of a label bankruptcy, and it was just, the whole thing was a nightmare. We had a great opportunity when we were opening up for 3 Days Grace, sold out arenas, playing in Montreal. It was a great show, but it was that moment where I really realized that I wasn't where I needed to be, and my heart wasn't there. If you're doing that as an artist, playing in an arena like that, and sitting in the back of the bus, and you're not digging it, you're not happy, then definitely a change needs to be made. Whether you exit music entirely or you roll the dice and take a chance on something like you've been talking about like I was with Joey for a while there. We had been talking about our mutual love for country music for a few years before that text message, and it just felt that was the time. And yeah, definitely.
But I feel like it even goes even further back than that, because I believe I heard the story about how he was sitting in a CFOX parking lot with Chad, and I guess he played your music in like a cassette tape or something. And I guess Chad I don't know if that was the first time Chad heard you. Yep. And again, Chad is also another big influence in your life. Did he also produce an album for your band when it was Shock the Day?
Yes. Yeah, the band was, no, I wasn't in that band. It was a different band. But it was a lot of the same guys. The band was called, we started ourselves off called The Fallout. And yeah, that was 99 when we just written a few songs. We recorded, I think, 4 or 5 demos onto an ADAT tape, and that takes us back a few years. And yeah, just through mutual friends, that little tape ended up into Joey's hands, and then Joey went and took it over to Chad. They had been in recording school, and we were really good buddies at that point. And yeah, that was when Chad, they had just released Leader of Men off their first record, and we're kind of just getting started too. So Chad was dipping his toes into producing stuff. So he produced, and Joey produced that first little independent run of songs that we did when we were called The Fallout. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, and it's just funny because I know also how Chad jokes about how after you guys released Wasting My Time, then they just released right after How You Remind Me, I believe. And he's like, he said he kind of cock blocked you guys to becoming number one. Like they always were number one, I guess, with that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny how Chad brings up his cock all the time. But yeah, he blocked it. Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go. Exactly.
Yeah. But it was an amazing time, man. I look back at that really fondly. Like we were like number one and number two in the rock charts, and all across North America and into Europe and stuff, and Australia.
Yeah.
And we were on the MTV Campus Invasion tour, so we were up on, all the universities and colleges, campuses, and all in the U.S. Played with a band called Injected as well. They were on the tour, just a rad band. Their record was great too. Yeah, we had a great time. We had a really, really good time. We went on and opened up for Bush for a while. We did some, I think, 3-week stint with Creed back in the day. So that was those couple 3 years was an absolute whirlwind blur.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had some really, really good times. And the Nickelback guys really treated us great. They were fantastic people to us, and that's kind of where I learned. A lot of people get a bad rap about stuff, but from what I've seen and experienced, right from the beginning of knowing him, is that he was always been a great, generous guy to his fans, and he's all about that and that connection. And I don't have a bad thing to say about him. He's influenced me and the rest of my guys in my band in Default in that way.
Yeah. And you can see finally after all these years, people making fun for whatever reason, they're getting like the recognition that they deserve, to have that,
Yeah. The small dog always barks the loudest, right? It's just a bunch of people who don't know how to do it, criticizing somebody who did it, right? That's how it goes.
Exactly. So again, Default. By the way, I just want to give a quick shout out to, I would say your last album, which was Comes and Goes.
Yep.
Sorry. That to me was so great. And it's too bad because I think that was your best album in my opinion. I wrote Turn It On, fucking starts off hard.
Yep.
Show Me if you're, anyways, very good album. So it's like, it's kind of a shame that I know it had to end there for different reasons, but just a great way to go out in my opinion, just so you know that. So.
That was the record. It was on the shelf for about a year and a half during that bankruptcy thing, right? So during that time, it just, the record was a year and a half old. And all those things that happened in between in that time. It just didn't sit right.
Yeah, but anyway, so again, after that, then you go on to doing country. When you first started recording country music, singing, were you worried? Because again, this was kind of new to you. Like, how were you feeling starting out?
No, I mean, I was in really good hands. And like I said, I was really at that point in my mindset of like, I'm done with this chapter of my life, and I'm either going to stop music or I'm going to keep going, depending on how the record would do and if people enjoyed what I was putting out. So yeah, it was. I wasn't really worried about it because I was just kind of accepting that chapter of my life was closing, and I had a really great opportunity to work with a lot of talented people, and if it saw the light of day, I believed in it. So that's kind of how that was for me. Obviously, once the first single "Somebody Somewhere" started taking off and doing really well on radio, and radio had accepted me at that point and started playing the song a lot, which I heard radio didn't like at the time. Artists coming from different genres, so I was a little skeptical to see how it would do and if it would be accepted. But once it started getting played, I knew that I believed in the record and I believed in myself, and just kind of started that part of my journey, which is now 12 years ago. It's just bizarre.
Would you say between rock and country, is one more difficult to perform / sing over the other?
Not really. They're challenging in different ways. With the rock stuff, there was a lot of aggression. So it wasn't necessarily one-dimensional, but it was just a lot of stuck in that one gear, or kind of close to that gear. Whereas country, you can, with my records, I tried to really expand the vocals and emote different emotions that didn't really come out in the Default songs in that catalog. So, but going back and performing some of those songs, that's 15, 20 years ago, almost 25 years ago for some of the songs. So I wasted my time. To get my voice to do that much, that often, for that long is challenging now. I was pretty hard on my voice, right, and that aggression and stuff. So it's a different kind of challenge.
Yeah. Plus, didn't you say? I think you said you were like smoking a pack a day and drinking for the second album or something.
Yeah, well,
Default.
the third record. I mean, the first record we were all partying and stuff and not taking care of ourselves, and then we started taking care of ourselves and didn't like how clean the record sounded. The second one, and then so I just decided like, okay, well, let's just throw it all to hell and see what see what happens on the third record. And that was yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, not recommended, but I mean that's just what we did.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So again, fast forward in 2012, first album comes out. Somebody Somewhere was your big hit from that. Just kind of going through a few songs, and then you have Lifted. I do want to talk a little bit about Lifted, which was your second album in 2014, specifically the song Lifted. I really liked the music video. There was a great message. To me, it was kind of like, don't judge a book by its cover, because you have this big looking guy with the luchador mask and you're kind of not sure what he's up to. And then it turns out he's going to like the grave of his daughter, I believe it was. Yeah. And then, so can you just talk about like what was the inspiration behind that song? And then also, speaking of that, you also have your organization called Lift.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually the video was pitched with that storyline. And I loved it. Yeah, it was don't judge a book by its cover, and you can't judge anybody until you walk a mile in their shoes, and that was very much that message from that video. That's been one of my favorite tracks I've recorded. It's Jaron Johnson's song from Cadillac 3. Yeah. And then just the title really just inspired me to kind of pass on some goodwill into the world by forming a charity that focuses on youth mental health and access to different help that kids need, whatever that may be. We've sponsored women's shelters and all different kinds of stuff, but the main focus is on access for kids to get help they need, or give them a helping hand, step up.
That's awesome. Yeah, because obviously hasn't been really available for the longest time up until recently, right? So it's always a thing that needs to be improved, is going to keep being improved, and but I just do whatever I can to help out in certain circumstances and just events and it's been a really great journey, having the charity and being able to put some smiles on faces and do that thing. Absolutely. Yeah. Fast forwarding after that, we then have Side Effects in 2016. That was your first album, apparently, that impacted the US a bit. Also beat out Shania Twain with 4 #1 singles. I don't know if that's like all the records. Like, I think people maybe don't realize like just how many #1 singles you have as a Canadian country artist. I don't know if I think it's the most for a male. I don't know if it's the most ever but it's up there, I'm assuming. Do you care about that? Do you think about that at all, or not really?
It's cool. It's cool to look back. It's a little feather in the cap kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's about seeing faces out in the crowds. Hopefully, singing the songs back to me, and kind of be able to put myself in their shoes, because I went to a lot of shows as a kid, and being that side of it and putting myself in their shoes and how I looked up, and how different artists, different music from different artists really inspired me and helped me through a lot of stuff as a kid. Seeing that from this side and hopefully touching people that way is such a great experience. And I mean that the radio numbers and stuff are all great. It's very cool. It just kind of solidifies that people out there are liking what I'm doing and touching them in that way. So it kind of comes hand in hand.
I don't want to keep you for too much longer. I know you're probably freezing. I feel bad. I'm nice and warm. But anyways, thank you for holding.
Stop bragging about it. We're good.
So fast forward to this latest album, came out end of October, which is called Dallas Smith, self-titled. You mentioned you part of the reason why it's called Dallas Smith is this is really your but it's really your big introduction into the US market, which, as you know, and as I've talked with other artists, because I worked in radio for a while, and it's very tough for a lot of Canadian artists to break through into that market. I just want to go through some of the songs. I mean, How Do You Miss Me, which I don't think is technically a single, but it really should be if it isn't. It's a great song.
Yeah, I've got some good reactions from that one. We put that one out, I think, put a video out for that when the record came out.
Yeah. You did that. You do mention 2 specific songs, Fixer Upper and CRZY. that are authentic to your story. Can you just talk why? Why are they authentic, those two songs, to your story?
Well, I've spoken about this before. Is that I think we're all constant works in progress, and we should always be evolving. And a parent or a friend, and in a relationship with a partner, you should always be trying to improve yourself and growing and evolving in that way. So that song really touched me. I think it's just a great message. It really is. And CRZY really hit home with me. I mean, my son's 18. He's out of high school, he's college and stuff, and so watching that full circle of raising a child and having them sort of watching them leave the nest and grow out of it is yeah. It's weird that I'm there in my life with my son. Just went by like a flash. It's pretty quick, but yeah, I think that song really has that message to it. Watching your kids spread their wings. You know?
Was the CRZY at all inspired by Don McLean's American Pie? No.
Well, Jaron might have. Yeah, he might have. It's a Jaron Johnson track as well. Stephen Wilson Jr. I think wrote on that one as well. But it's yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
A little bit.
Yeah, that's a little bit in there. Yep.
Weird. I do always want to talk about just like you performing. I mean, you've been all over Canada performing. In terms of shows and most meaningful shows to you, I do actually want to talk about one, or if you could talk a bit about it, because you mentioned performing in Afghanistan for the troops was up there, or if not the most meaningful show. Can you just talk about that experience? Yeah,
the Canadian military brought us out there. We do Team Canada. We'd all hop on a jet and go over, and play for the troops. And that was the Kandahar Air Base. It was the boardwalk there. We've got the French troops there. They had, I think there was some. Well, it was the U.S. Obviously, was there. Canadians, and all around this boardwalk sort of area. It's like just a wooden pathway that had shops all on the outside of it. It was like a Tim Hortons, and the U.S. guys had TGI Fridays, and I think the French troops had like a little French bistro sort of coffee shop in one of the corners. But in there is a floor hockey rink. So we went over there and played hockey. Like Brian Burke was there, and a whole bunch of like Lanny McDonald, and it was pretty rad. And we're right in the middle of essentially an operation, a war. And there was a stage there, and so playing for all the troops in that venue. It's not a little stage there. We had the Stanley Cup beside us. Just kind of giving all those guys a little taste of home, guys and gals, and it was as we're playing, we're looking over. There's the Stanley Cup. There's hockey players we recognize from being a kid, and you're watching also as well. You're watching jets take off and carrying, delivering things, and it is a very surreal. Every type of emotion you can experience kind of was experienced in that moment. It's something we were bringing a lot to a lot of people who give a lot for us, and that's one I'll never forget.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a once in a lifetime experience. Are there any festivals or shows that you haven't performed at yet that you'd like to?
As far as Canada-wide, just great festivals here, and we've hit up a lot of them, if not most of them. From Cavendish to Boots of Hearts and Big Valley Jamboree and all the Country Thunders, and so we've had a great time at all those festivals. I'd love to hit up Stagecoach. I'd love to be able to go down there and see my name on there at some point. But other than that, man, I don't really put too much out there. Just kind of do my thing, and whatever happens. Whatever's meant to be is meant to be. I just do my part.
You'd rather be golfing right now. I heard you're a big golfer.
Not in the last few years. Not in the last few years. No. No. And I talk a big game because I used to be able to back it up, but I get out there now and I can't back it up anymore. So.
Yeah. And are you? I guess is Canucks? Is that your number one team? I know you don't like. So you said you don't like the Habs, right? But you wear a Montreal.
I'm fine with the Habs.
Okay.
They have a great history of success in winning Stanley Cups.
That's what we hold on to. Yeah. When people say we suck, but we still have 24 cups. That's all we got.
You're the last team to win a cup, right? Last Canadian team to win a cup.
93.
So I have no problem with the Habs winning as much as they can. What's that?
Leafs? You don't like them?
No.
Okay.
No.
I get it. I root for them because I live here, and I actually want to see them win because just for the fans, it's been since '67. It's sad. So no.
Since 1970, since me. So for the Canucks. So no,
They were close. Yeah. Anyways.
no.
Just I guess
No,
just to kind of end this off.
Suffer for eternity.
Yeah. No. I understand. Listen, I know because we all think we're the center of the universe, and we act. I know we're not, but we act like we are. So I get it. So what's the plan? So obviously, like I said, the album, your last album came out in October. You're still promoting it. Are you planning on putting out new singles and working on another album? Like, what's the plan?
Yeah, we haven't started a new record yet, but there'll be we'll be following up with singles to radio and DSPs and stuff, and pushing it that way. We'll be doing. What else will we be doing? We're just doing lots of festivals this year. A lot of them haven't been announced. Some of them have. So kind of doing that, and we'll see where this year takes me.
Can you say if you're going to be in Toronto at all?
Yeah, I'll be around the area, I'm sure. Yeah.
Lights going out.
We'll be around.
That's okay. That goes my light. Well, that's perfect timing. No, listen, you go do your thing. Thank you so much again for this. Again, I'll thank Dave and everyone and Lloyd at Big Loud. Again, thank you for everything you've done and you'll continue to do. And yeah, just wish you all the best.
Yeah, you as well, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Dallas.
Okay, see you, bye.